So thank you all for coming. We do appreciate you taking time out of this day to come and see us and have this lovely update from the government and our side of the table as well. Establishing protocol, I'd like to welcome the Honorable Christopher Saunders, Deputy Premier and Minister for Finance, Economic Development, and Border Control and Labor. The Honorable Kenneth Bryan, the Minister of Tourism and Transport. The Honorable Barney Bush, Minister for Youth, Sports, Culture, and Heritage. Am I missing anybody? I think that's it. The Chief Officer in the Ministry of Tourism, Strand Bodden, Director of Tourism, Ms. Rosa Harris, here on the head table, members of our Board of Directors, and of course you, our members. Thank you very much for being here today again. As you see, we tell you what our vision and our mission is every single time we come here. It's very important that we remind ourselves what our goals are as an organization and association. So it's nice to just have a reminder of what we're supposed to be doing is to unite, protect, and grow our industry by advocating for the collective interests, empowering our tourism community through education and information, and engaging our members to listen, support, and collaborate in making Cayman Islands the leading destination for tourism. So we really do honor that, and we feel we invoke that very well. Today we're going to have, first up is going to be the Minister of Tourism, the Honorable, let me firstly introduce our board. Of course, myself, I'm the Executive Director, Mr. Jay Earhart. Our President, Mr. Mark Langevin, right up here on the head table. Our Vice President, Mr. Troy Leacock, sitting here in the front row. Our Treasurer is Mr. Marcus Murray here. Missing today is Mr. Michael Tibbetts. He's off island. Charlene is here as well, a part of the hotel sector. We thank her for being here. Danielle Wolf from the condominium sector. Thank you. Casey Goff is one of our new Board of Directors. He is taking over for Josh Pollock. But so he's part of the Allied. Mr. Ron Hargraves from the restaurant sector. Walker Romanica is also absent today. He's not feeling well today. Stephen Broadbelt is new to the board, but he's no stranger to the board. He's been on our board for many, many years, instrumental in tourism and Cayman for many years. I think he's currently on the ISDHF Board of Directors just now as well, so very good synergy there. Ms. Wendy Moore from the condominium sector as well. Philip, Allied sector, and Mr. Gary Todd is all that rounds out our Board of Directors. So for today, we're going to have the Minister of Tourism speak to you first. He will be followed by the Director of Tourism, Mrs. Rosa Harris, and then a presentation from us, the Board of Directors. Mr. Langevin will start that off, and each one of our board members will present their sector, what's going on in the country right now. And then we're going to have a social hour. We'd like to thank Cayman Distributors and Blackbeard's Liquor for our rum punch for the evening, so everybody gets a lovely rum punch at the end of the night. So thank you very much for their sponsorship. And without further ado, it is my pleasure to welcome to the stage the Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Kenneth Bryan.
Thank you, Jay. I think I'm going to need one of those rum punches after this meeting. Protocol already being established, I would like to also recognize the Honorable Parliamentary Secretary, Ms. Heather Bodden. It's okay, she came in just afterwards. Mr. Mark Langevin, President for the Cayman Islands Tourism Association. Mr. Strand Bodden, my Chief Officer for the Ministry of Tourism. Ms. Rosa Harris, my Director for Tourism, tourism industry partners and stakeholders, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, and thank you for inviting me to speak here today. I value these opportunities to engage with you and enjoy participating in strategic discussions focused on the growth and the development of our tourism industry and making it more successful. As principal stakeholders in the tourism, hospitality, and cruise sectors, you know better than most how difficult and challenging the last 2 years have been. Your patience and perseverance have not gone unnoticed, and so I want to begin my remarks today by thanking each and every one of you for your support and commitment to the recovery of the Cayman Islands tourism industry. I would like us to spend some time today to discuss the first quarter tourism performance, including arrivals in the month of April, up to the month of April. I will also provide an outline on how the industry has been trending and where we plan to be by the year end. And I want to focus on the fact that I said plan to be, not hope to be. Tourism is a very important economic driver, so I'll also be including our financial projections with respect to tourism, taxes, and visitor spend. Moving straight into tourism performance. Results in January 2022, the Cayman Islands welcomed 5,962 stayover visitors, which represented 14% of the air arrivals recorded in January 2019. I should note that the 2019 numbers are being used as comparison because it was the last full year of travel prior to the onset of the pandemic. And also I note that 2019 was recorded as our best year in tourism and was strategically used to set the bar high for our comparison. By February, air arrivals had more than doubled to 12,271 visitors, equating to 27% of February 2019. By March, air arrivals had almost doubled again to 22,774 visitors, representing 38% of the pre-pandemic visitation in 2019. For the month of April, the upward trend had continued with an additional 2,340 more visitors arriving on island than during the previous month of March. Between January and April, we have moved from 6,000 to 12,000 to 22,000 to 25,000 visitors respectively, with April's arrivals equating to 55% of April 2019. Visitation is moving in the right direction with an upward trajectory, indicating that our tourism recovery is strengthening day by day. So where do we go and where will we be by the end of the year? And what is the forecast? I've set the Department of Tourism a target of 40% of the 2019 tourism accommodation revenue, which equates to approximately 200,000 visitors by the 31st of December of 2022. And if they deliver more than that, I'm quite sure none of us in this room will be holding it against them. But in all seriousness, the way we are trending, I'm optimistic that if we continue to do all the right things that we've been doing so far, we will not only achieve this target, but exceed it by many margins. Looking now at where our tourists are traveling from. In 2022, the United States remains our main source market, accounting for 78% of our stayover arrivals compared to 2019. Incidentally, the top three performing United States are New York with 14%, Florida with 8.5%, and Texas with 7.3% respectively. It is no surprise the United States is at the top of the leaderboard, as they are followed by Canada with 9% and the UK with 6%. When analyzing these first quarter results, it is important to view them in context by noting that first, restrictions on travel with children were only relaxed in January of this year, allowing families to return with children assuming the parents' vaccination status. And secondly, the requirements for LFT testing on day 2, 5, and 7 were lifted in February and allowed a hassle-free process for our visitors on the island. And thirdly, the cruise sector was only reopened in March of this year, just a few months ago. This not only highlights the milestones that our industry have overcome since the start of the quarter, but it also shows that the removal of travel restrictions improved the attractiveness to travelers, ultimately resulting in higher visitor arrivals. Speaking of removal of COVID regulations, I want you to know that the government is well aware of our current regulations. Though they're better than before, still create some restrictions for potential visitors. As Minister, I also want you to know that I recognize we could have stronger numbers if our restrictions were relaxed, like some of our competitors in the region. The government's precautionary approach is for the safety of our community, though it comes with setbacks. I would like to assure you, though, that we're continuing to evaluate the situation to find the perfect balance. The length of time spent on island has also increased from 6 to 6.5 nights, which translates into more spend in our economy. One thing I found interesting when examining the data, that between January and March of 2022, 45% of our air arrivals were first-time visitors, compared to 56% in 2019. Conversely, 55% of our guests self-identified as returning visitors versus 44% in 2019. Another interesting fact highlighted in the data shows that the average age of visitors have also gone up, from 42.4 years of age to 43.8 years of age. This reflects that we have a strong second home ownership market here in the Cayman Islands, and those owners were keen to come home. Based on the data of the SDR, comparing our average daily rates in 2022 versus 2019, room rates are quickly returning to pre-pandemic levels, even though occupancy is still lagging behind. This tells us that the first quarter of the year, travelers have been willing to pay more for the chance to get away on a vacation after the challenges and stresses of COVID-19. Though we have a long way to go before we get back to pre-pandemic arrival numbers, the month-to-month increase demonstrate that for every key performance indicator, the needle is moving in the right direction. The recovery policies and strategies put in place by my government are clearly delivering results, which is encouraging to all of us. But more importantly, the increase in arrivals mean more tourists bringing businesses through your doors, more job opportunities for Caymanians, and more tourism revenue circulating in our economy. Aside from the dynamic and competitive industry, tourism is also the economic driver that generates sustainable revenue for our economy. For the period of January to March of 2022, a total of CI $3.8 million was collected in tourism taxes and fees. Direct stay over visitor spend for the full year of 2022 is forecasted to be US $381 million. By comparison, in 2019, stay over visitor spend was US $737.4 million. Turning our attention now to the inbound flights. In January 2022, Airlift servicing our destination was 35% of what it was at the same period in 2019. By March, that had increased to 55%, and it rose again to over 70% in April. Our airlift capacity in May now stands at 80% as to where we were in 2019, equating to 59,928 seats in our destination. Looking now at our room stock, which includes condos, villas, and hotels, there are 7,112 rooms in the accommodation sector shared across our lovely three islands, which is follows: 6,678 rooms in Grand Cayman, 267 in Cayman Brac, and 167 in Little Cayman. In terms of actual properties, our accommodation sectors comprises of 23 hotels, 573 apartments, and 308 guest homes. Despite the pandemic and the reports of shortages of materials, development in this sector has been ongoing and several new projects are being built. As the representative for Georgetown Central, I'm particularly excited about a new boutique hotel property destined to be built in the Georgetown area. For years, we have looked forward to having a tourism accommodations expanded into the city center, and I hope that once it is constructed, it will attract other businesses back to the heart of the town to breathe new life and vibrancy into our city capital. As we strive as an industry to renew, rebuild, and reinvigorate our tourism product, I'm cognizant that the actions that we take as we move forward must be underpinned by clear objectives and supported by sound but creative thinking. I say this because the pandemic is recalibrating our consumer expectations and intensifying the desire for more experiential tourism products. In response, the ministry is seeking to heighten destination appeal, particularly in areas of authenticity and cultural type experiences. We look forward to reaching out you, the industry partners, for your input and ideas, and to quote a famous words of Captain Kirk from the Starship Enterprise, we must be willing to boldly go where we've never gone before and challenge ourselves to do things very differently as we move forward. The results I've shared with you today are encouraging. I'm happy to say that due to the collaborative efforts between the PAC administration, the Ministry and Department of Tourism, and of course with you, the stakeholders and industry partners, there's real reason for optimism. Even so, tourism is a very sensitive business which operates on cycles and seasons. In April, we moved into the shoulder season, which is typically a softer period for booking. While this is a part of the ebbs and flows of the industry, the DOT is doing everything that it can to capture the attention of potential travelers for the summer period. But there's only so far that they can go without the support of you, the industry partners. There are many competing deals and offers on the table across our region. The most effective way to cut through the noise and get travelers' attention is to work together and put compelling offers into the marketplace. With the global tourism industry being in recovery mode, right now it's very much about the survival of the fittest. This is becoming increasingly difficult as inflation continues to rise globally, and as our biggest consumer base, the US nears a cost of living crisis. My government has committed the DOT to spend over $2 million on summer advertising, and we're working very hard to bring visitors here for the summer period. But we can't do this alone, and so I'm asking you for your support and hoping that we can work together in navigating our way through this very volatile first year of tourism recovery and set ourselves up for an outstanding 2023 year. DOT will be sending out further communications to gather industry offers to help support our summer promotions. I know that they are looking forward to hearing from you and to know all the exciting offers that can be put in place for the summer period. Without a value-added promotion to increase the incentive for visitors to come to the Cayman Islands, we risk being priced out of the market. So please, I beg of you, give this some serious thought. Turning my attention now to the cruise sector, which is also an important part of our tourism product. Since the reintroduction of cruise in March of 2022, the sector has performed well so far. There have been 26 cruise calls between March and just April of 2022, carrying 61,025 cruise passengers to our shores. Health and safety protocols are also working well, and there's been no reports of outbreaks aboard the ships. Operators in the sector are happy to be back at work, and reports of an increase in customers have been reported, enabling them to gradually get their businesses back on track. And I recognize the word there, gradually, because I know it's been a slow process. The ministry is in the process of commissioning a cruise tourism strategy, in which can be best described as a roadmap for redesigning the current approach and focusing more on quality, sustainability, and capacity management, as well as developing new and innovative destination experiences for passengers to enjoy away from the 7 Mile Beach corridor. We also intend on restructuring the business relationship between cruise lines and the local operators. Against that backdrop, last month I attended the Florida Caribbean Cruise Lines Association's Sea Trade Conference in Florida, accompanied by my chief officer and my director of tourism. Sea Trade is the largest annual gathering of cruise industry representatives, and it occurred at an opportune time for our delegation to speak with cruise lines executives and key stakeholders about the reopening of cruise in the Cayman Islands. The Department of Tourism created an impressive exhibition booth which amplified the Cayman Islands' presence and allowed them to distribute the knowledge and information about our country and wonderful islands. Still on the subject of cruise, I'm pleased to confirm that the Ministry of Tourism, through the Department of Tourism, has signed an exclusive destination partnership agreement with the FCCA. The Cayman Islands is one of only 3 Caribbean destinations that have been offered this exclusive package. Among its many benefits, it allows our destination to have prominent presence at industry conferences and events and enables our islands to be directly marketed to the FCCA member lines, which operate over 90% of the global cruise capacity. Before I wrap up, there's one more piece of news that I would like to share with you. I'm pleased to announce that the Ministry and Department of Tourism have partnered with the Caribbean Tourism Organization to host a high-level regional conference here in the Cayman Islands. The conference will take place from the 12th to the 15th of September, and attendees will include regional ministers, senior executives from the airlines and transportation industries, as well as international delegates and regional and international media. I'm very excited about hosting this prestigious event here in the Cayman Islands. It will provide a forum for the Caribbean leaders and captains of industry to discuss some of the challenges and opportunities specific to our Caribbean region. It will also help to solidify our island's position as a key player in regional tourism arena. As the planning of this event continues, the Department of Tourism will be reaching out to you, our industry partners, about opportunities to become involved through provisions of rooms, transportation, tours, dining, and entertainment experiences. Those dates again are the 12th to the 15th of September, so please add them to your diaries. Partners in tourism, although there is reason to be optimistic, I know that many of you still want to see more. The stakes are high, and we have a lot to accomplish during this recovery phase. We know that there's a lot of pent-up demand from the people around the world who want to start traveling again after being stuck at home for over 2 years. Our job is to bring them here and give them unforgettable experiences and to convert them to Cayman Islands loyalists who continue to return year after year. As I said earlier, the PAC administration and the Ministry and Department of Tourism are focused on returning our tourism sector to pre-COVID numbers as quickly as possible. And that means more stayover visitors, spending more, staying longer, visiting all through the year rather than seasonally, and enjoying the wide range of authentic experiences. My personal goal as Minister of Tourism is to ensure that the product in our tourism industry is inclusive and accessible to all Caymanians. Secondly, it contributes more to our economy. And thirdly, and preserves our precious and natural cultural heritage. We have a lot to achieve together, and I would like to once again express my gratitude to the Cayman Islands Tourism Association for your partnership and support as we continue in the recovery mode. I would like to also acknowledge my outstanding and hardworking ministry team, led by Chief Officer Strandbodden, and of course, the best in the world marketers at the Department of Tourism, led by Director Rosa Harris. I greatly value and appreciate their leadership and guidance, as I'm sure we all do. I know me as a new minister surely appreciates it. Folks, I thank you so much for your attention, and it's genuinely a pleasure and an honor to share this information with you this afternoon.